Hello everybody, I'm Stan McKenzie, better known as Stan the Citrus Man, and I'm here today to talk with you about growing citrus. Since this is a meeting about food, who doesn't like good fresh fruit, and especially citrus fruit? And it seems that citrus fruit gets more and more expensive every year. I'm standing in front of what we call a satsuma tree, which is a mandarin orange type tree. These originally came to the United States from Japan back in the late 1800s, and citrus industry took off in South Alabama, lower Gulf Coast, Mississippi, that area in Georgia. And I found out about them through doing some research on World Book back before computers were ever thought about. And luckily I had a sister-in-law that lives in Gulf Shores, Alabama, and I asked her to please find me a satsuma tree and bring it home with her to South Carolina when she came home for Thanksgiving. And she did, and I planted a little citrus tree at my back door and took good care of it. In just a few years we were enjoying tangerines, and pretty soon the house painter, the gas man, the meter reader, everybody saw the fruit hanging on the tree, and they said, "Where did you get that? I'd like to have one." So naturally you don't run down to Walmart and pick up a satsuma tree. So I went to the trouble of learning how to grow and graft citrus trees, and in 1999 we started McKenzie Farmers Nursery and started producing citrus trees. At one time we had 135 of these trees in a citrus grove, and we were producing 5,000 pounds of oranges a year. Unfortunately, that's not the case anymore, as we had an 8-degree freeze in January of 2018 that did to me what all the poor folks out in Texas and Louisiana had done to them just this past week or two. We bottomed out at 8 degrees, and I think some of those folks went down as low as 1 degree and even below 0. So as I was saying about Texas and Louisiana, where they had that terrible freeze here a couple of weeks ago, I can assure you that most of those folks have lost their citrus trees. But if you'll notice my trees here, you see the line of them here. They're in what we call frost bags. You can buy these online, I think, in places like eBay and Amazon and things like that. But anyhow, they have those there. And what we do every fall, when it's getting close time, you know, for our hard freezes to come in, frost, we take these frost bags and cover these trees. But before we do, if you can get a close-up shot of this, we put a little micro mist sprinkler. We got a water line running all the way down, and we got these little micro mist sprinklers that go out over the tree in an umbrella shape. And on a real cold night, what we'll do is turn the water on, and we have the bag over the tree, and the water coming out of the ground at 50 degrees, and the bag keeps the trees protected, and they just sail right through most of your major freezes. I will tell you, I did not have the water on when we had the 8-degree freeze, or I probably could have saved the whole orange grove. But as the old saying is, hindsight's 20/20. But anyway, I have started back. I've probably got 30 or 40 trees here, and we hope to be back in business selling the actual fruit off these trees within the next couple of years. Citrus aren't like pecans or a lot of other things that take years and years to start producing fruit. Usually when you buy a citrus tree, like the second year, you're getting fruit. So it's sort of a real fast growing tree, and real real fast to start producing fruit. Okay, we're going to go to the greenhouse now, and we're going to give you a little tour of what's going on in there. Okay, we hadn't made it to the greenhouse yet. I saw another little interesting side trip that I wanted to take you on before we got to the greenhouse and started looking at citrus trees. I'm sure some of you will recognize these. In fact, they're already putting on little flower buds getting ready to bloom. This is what's called a bitter lemon tree, or Pomegranates trifoliata. This makes a wonderful rootstock, and they make little lemons about the size of a golf ball that are bitter as quinine. Some people are experimenting trying to make marmalade and stuff with them, but I've always used them for rootstocks. And what we do is harvest the seed off of these in the fall of the year when they're laying on the ground, and we take them and plant them in little gallon pots, 30 or 40 seed per pot, and each one of these little fruits off of these trees contain about 30 or 40 seed. So one fruit will give you like 40 rootstocks, okay? So then we just take those and put them in a pot, top it off with a little bit of soil, keep them warm and moist, and they sprout. And then in just a few weeks, month or so, they're about 2 inches tall, and then we take them and put them in individual pots like this, and we grow these off for one season. This is grown from last year, and then we take them and graft onto them. So when we go in the greenhouse, we're gonna show you what it means by grafting. We take the, even though these are bitter and no good to eat, they make a very, very good rootstock. In fact, these things can't be killed by cold here in South Carolina. It never gets that cold. In fact, I've had reports of people in places like Kentucky and Connecticut growing these outside with no protection. So they're very, very hardy citrus tree. But the great thing about them is when you graft a satsuma or an orange tree or whatever onto this, it imparts some of that cold hardiness into what you're grafting onto. So now we're going in the greenhouse and get away from all this traffic and look at some of the citrus trees we have in there. Okay, here we are in the greenhouse. This is where we overwinter all of our citrus trees. We move them in the fall before the first frost, and we take them back out once the weather warms up. Usually around the 1st of April, we put them back out on the yard. And this is where we keep them over winter. And what I'm standing in now probably is about a 75, 80 degree greenhouse, and it's strictly solar energy right now. At night, the temperature drops when the sun goes down, but we do have a little backup heater that we keep it at just above about 32 degrees is all that's really necessary for these trees to thrive. But I'm going to talk a little bit about some different varieties, and before I start that, I want to recommend a YouTube video for any of you folks that are interested in growing citrus trees there in southern North Carolina. There's a gentleman called the Millennial Gardener, and he is on YouTube. And if you will do a search engine for the Millennial Gardener, you will see that he came to my place several years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, and bought his first Satsuma mandarin orange tree and took it back to Wilmington. And this year, he told me he made about 50 fruits that he has thoroughly enjoyed. He's enjoying growing citrus so much now that he was back last Saturday and picked up 3 more trees. I think he's going to try his hand at growing navel oranges there in Wilmington. But anyhow, as I explained to you about the system that we have back there with the water and the frost blankets, there's more than one way to grow a citrus tree. You don't necessarily have to go to all that trouble. One way is to plant it on the south side of a brick wall or a house or something to give it a little protection. And you can go on eBay and invest in some of the old Christmas lights that give off heat and wrap them around your tree each fall. And then every night, every time you're going to have a bad frost or whatever, plug them in, and that will give off heat on the tree. And if you really want to be sure about it, just bag it with one of those frost bags I was telling you about and leave the lights under it. And that will almost guarantee that your tree will be just fine. But some of the varieties we have here, this one right here is called a Brown Select, if you can get a close shot of that. This is one of my personal favorites. Brown Select Satsumas have a real sweet flavor to them. You know how some citrus has a little zing to it. It's still sweet, but you got that citrus tartness. This one to me is just very sweet, and that's my personal favorite. But all of them pretty well are of the same hardiness. They'll tolerate down into the low mid-20s with no protection at all. And after it gets below that, you probably have to give them a little protection. This one, I know what it is. It doesn't have a tag on it that says so. This is an Owari Satsuma. This was the very first original Satsuma that came over to the United States from Japan. It was given by the ambassador of Japan to the American ambassador that was working in with the Japanese or whatever. Anyhow, he lived in southern Alabama, and this Japanese official gave the American ambassador a Satsuma tree, and they took it to Alabama, and it flourished, and the rest is history. There's Satsumas everywhere now. The state of Georgia probably has over 1,000 acres of Satsumas that have been planted in the last 10 years, so they have really gone gangbusters with Satsumas. But that's 2 varieties we've got. We've got some other fairly rare varieties, but that's 2 of them. I want to show you this one. As you can see, it's full of flower buds. And this tree is only like 2 to 3 years old, so like I was telling you back in the orange grove, you get instant fruit pretty well off of citrus trees because they start producing so fast. The reason is when we graft a tree, we'll take a stem from one of these mother plants and graft it onto a 1-year-old rootstock that we showed you outside there, and that has basically cloned the tree, and it just goes right back to fruit production, just like it was still attached to mother. There is another way that we propagate citrus, and that would be by rooted cuttings. And here is a lemon tree that we just rooted a few weeks ago, several months ago maybe, but anyhow, you see how it's growing gangbusters. And I've developed a new way of rooting lemon trees. I'm giving away all my KFC recipes here today, so y'all don't go out and go into citrus business and run me out of business, okay? This is Florist Foam that like the florists use to keep flowers fresh and green, you know, when they're delivering them to customers or whatever. And I just take little stems of lemon cuttings or other citrus cuttings and stick them in this foam and keep it good and moist and warm. And in just a little while you'll have roots coming out of the foam, and we take it then and pot it up in a gallon pot. And so you've got a little gallon tree here that I'll probably be ready to sell to some lucky person probably around summertime or so. But it's a lot of fun dabbling with citrus. I enjoy what I do. Here's one of the citrus trees that's already been grafted, and you see we use what they call poly budding tape, and we graft the tree and we wrap the entire stem to keep it from drying out while it's trying to attach itself to the rootstock plant. But if you'll walk over here, we'll take a little tour. These are some that have just been grafted. This particular one right here was grafted, it says 12/25/20, so I was over here working on Christmas Day. But this is a very rare citrus tree. This is called an Ichang Papita Lemon. You can look that up online and you'll see how rare it is. I don't know if anybody else in the United States even sells these trees. But all told, we probably have some 30, when we've got them available, we have some 30 to 40 different types of citrus trees that we sell. Some of the things that we sell, I think I'm the only source for it in the United States. I don't know of anybody else that sells Ichang Papitas. We sell Thomasville Citrange Quats. We sell Yuzu, which is a Japanese citrus. It's very, very cold hardy. I've had good reports of people from areas like Raleigh and Charlotte growing Yuzu fruit. And Yuzu is a very trendy citrus fruit that high-end chefs and restaurants and stuff are using to flavor some of these exotic dishes that they make in some of those restaurants. But Yuzu is a good one. And we sell tons and tons of Yuzu trees every year. So it's that's a rare one. And we have some Australian finger limes that we're propagating from the outback. So citrus is a very, very diverse family, and you can grow it in North Carolina. I even have customers as far north as Yadkinville, North Carolina, that's growing my Satsuma trees successfully. And I always enjoy getting emails from people that have done well with their citrus tree and tell me how much they're enjoying it and how much the grandkids or the kids are enjoying it. It just does me good to know that I've done something that made other people feel good and something they're enjoying. So I highly recommend that you try a Satsuma tree if you don't have one. Okay, we were telling you about some of the different citrus trees that we have, and this is a Miawa Kumquat. There's like 4 different varieties of kumquats that are available that I know of. But this one's called a Miawa, and you can tell a Miawa from a Nagami kumquat because Miawas are perfectly round, like so, little globe. And Nagami kumquats are egg-shaped, they're oblong. They have a little neck to them. Miawas are sweet. You eat the whole thing, pop the whole thing in your mouth at one time. And Nagamis are sour. They make a good marmalade or whatever, and you can eat them if you like sour stuff, but these are sweet. It's like sweet and sour. I think the interior is sour, the peel is sweet, and so you get the sweet and sour sensation when you bite into it. We also have, in our little collection here, this is one of the most popular trees that we sell. If you can get a shot of that one. This is a Meyer Lemon. And if you'll look right here, They are, a lot of these are loaded up with flower buds, and you can always tell a lemon tree because they have purple tinged flowers. So that's a dead giveaway for a lemon tree. All the rest of your citrus trees are going to have white flowers, but a lemon tree is always going to have a little purplish tint to it. So that's two of the other kinds that we sell, and like I say, Meyer Lemons are probably one of my most popular varieties to sell that people want. So we have up here is some rooted cutting grown lemon trees. Meyers, we got one called Variegated Pink Lemon. I tease people and tell them this is where you get pink lemonade from. But as you can see, the leaves have a real pretty variegated color to them, and the inside of the lemon is pink. Now, this is not where you get pink lemonade, but they are pink, and they actually were Eureka lemon, which is a grocery store type lemon that had some kind of DNA change or whatever. They started putting on variegated leaves and pink flesh. So, but they actually are a type of Eureka lemon. A lot of people really enjoy those. Okay, I thought I'd talk with you about a few more of the different kinds of, not citrus, but other fruiting plants that we have here at my nursery. This is actually a loquat tree, and probably 90% of you have never tasted a loquat, but we call them Japanese plums because they do taste like plums, and they turn bright yellow when they're fully mature. So this is a loquat tree, and then if you're into growing something that's very, very easy and no work much required to it, these are called pineapple gualas. They're perfectly hardy in South Carolina, North Carolina, probably all of Zone 7, I would say. These are beautiful evergreen plants. In fact, I recommend to people to do a privacy border or whatever, you know, to block the neighbors off or whatever, because they'll get about 8 foot tall, and the fruit on them is delicious. There are no insects that bother it. It doesn't get cold enough in our area to burn them. In fact, in 2018, we had that 8-degree freeze. It didn't bother them at all. They sail right through the 8-degree freeze. So this is a good one to grow. Has pretty pink flowers in the spring, and the fruit grows all summer and falls off the tree in the fall. That's when you know that your fruit is ripe and ready to go. And what we do, they're kind of small, about like a golf ball. We take them and peel them and slice them in little rounds, and they are delicious. They got a little crunch to them, sort of like a kiwi fruit, and they do taste a little like kiwi, strawberry, and pineapple all rolled into one. So we keep these all the time at the nursery, and like I say, it's a very good fruiting plant to grow if you want to grow something that's easy as pie, as they used to say. No maintenance required whatsoever, no spraying, none of that, no insects, no diseases. It's just an easy fruit to grow. Here we have some pomegranates from the Mid-East. Pomegranate juice, Palm Wonderful is real popular right now. So if you like pomegranates, we usually keep them in stock. We have blueberry bushes. Pretty well any kind of fruit and plant that'll grow in South Carolina. We even have some that won't grow in South Carolina. We have some you have to keep in greenhouses, like jaboticobas and Barbados cherries and things like that. So if you're a fruit loving person, why, you need to come see me over here at McKenzie Farms in Scranton, South Carolina. Okay, I have enjoyed talking with all of you this afternoon about fruit trees, and especially about citrus. If you're interested in getting a citrus tree and trying your hand at growing your own citrus fruit, give me a call. Phone number is listed right there. We've got a website, McKenzieFarms.com. You should be able to find me online. And anybody got any questions that you'd like to ask that I didn't answer, send me an email. I'd be glad to answer by email. That email address is citrusman, CITRUSMAN 99 at hotmail.com. We got a very busy road that I live by, but anyhow, citrusman 99 at hotmail.com. We're going to finish this out by putting on a few of my favorite photos that I've taken over the years of my citrus trees and some of the fruits and things that we've had on the farm. And I appreciate the opportunity to talk with all of you. Thank you.